Recording in progress.
Welcome to Love and Meaning Podcast. I'm your host, Chrystelle Robinson Tiedemann. We have an exciting episode this week. I recorded my first opportunity to be on someone else's podcast, and we had so much freaking fun. So you are about to hear the wonderful Marissa Tonge. Her podcast is called Let's Just Be Real, and me and her have a really similar spirit and very similar style of podcasting. So it was such a natural and beautiful and easy experience. We talked human design, baby. We went in on it. And it was super cool. So it's a pretty nerdy human design conversation, but also a really nice opportunity to witness how human design has played a role and an impact in two different people's lives. We both have different designs. I am a projector. She is a generator. And nevertheless, for both of us, it's a tool that we use in our everyday lives to really find a sense of flow and a relationship with our intuition, kind of like an inner compass the thing that always guides us and helps us know that we are on our right path. So it's a really great attunement for alignment. And I know Marissa's experience with it is really similar to mine in that way. So I hope that you enjoy it. This is a lovely introduction to the types. So you'll get a little bit of some fun information on each of the types. If you are interested in a one-on-one reading, I do one-on-one readings, and you can find my booking link in the show notes. You can also go to my Instagram, Goddess of Practicality, and follow the link in my bio as well to my Calendly and book a reading if that's something that you're interested in. I also offer something called mini aura readings, and it's a shorter reading. It's just 30 minutes, and it gives you just the right amount of information, starting with your aura of each type, to help you to have easy access into starting to use your human design in your everyday life. So it's a lot of information, right, in your chart. And sometimes people can find themselves quite overwhelmed with the amount of information that is in your chart. And it becomes a little bit more difficult to integrate everything once you almost have too much information. So I find that it can be really easy to just get started by having this mini reading where you learn your aura, you learn your type, you learn your strategy, and you just start living using those tools in your everyday life. When you reach the point where you're like, I'm using this, I want to know more, that's a great time to go ahead and get a full reading. So if you want a mini aura reading or you want a full reading, especially after you listen to the episode and you hear a little bit about your type and you're like, ooh, that resonates, I want to know more, go ahead and use the booking link, and I would love, love, love to do a reading with you. Okay, I hope you enjoy the episode. Marissa's information is also in the show notes, so check out her podcast. She is all about being real. She is spiritual. She is deeply connected, intuitively guided, and we really have, very similar hearts in this industry and in what our missions and what we're doing here. So I had so much fun, and I hope you have fun listening to it. Let's get into the episode.
What's up, you guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Let's Just Be Real podcast. I'm your host, Marissa Tonge. I hope you're having an amazing week. So far, we're at the beginning of the week. I'm feeling a new energy. I don't know if it's like now that like Mercury is not in retrograde anymore, like, I don't know, but I'm feeling really good. And I think I'm feeling really good because honestly, this conversation that we're about to have on the podcast today with Chrystelle it was such a good soul feeding, just like really yummy conversation. And I'm so grateful and happy that I get to connect with people with similar mindset and people on similar paths to really just get to know themselves on a deep level and to cultivate and create the life that they really want, and the relationships and the connections and the friendships and all that, and their career paths. Like, it's really inspiring for me to see other women walking in their purpose and really leading through their careers with like passion, and really like speaking with passion, and really knowing what they're talking about. Like, the last couple guests I've had on the show, like, you could just tell they're all so passionate about what they do. So that's really what I'm enjoying about this whole podcasting journey, like just meeting people and having the conversation. So I'm so grateful. First of all, I just want to give my girl Stephanie a shout out for connecting me with Chrystelle. Thank you so much, Steph. Shout out to Steph. And in this conversation today, you're going to hear us talk a lot about, number one, human design. So if you've listened to previous episodes, I believe in the last solo episode, we talked a little bit about human design. So I'm so excited to dive a little bit deeper into the topic of human design, because it's something that has truly helped me get to know myself on a deeper level and really understand like why I'm here, my purpose, why I do certain things, you know, all that. We're going to get really deep into it. So I hope you guys enjoy this conversation with Chrystelle. Again, keep an open mind if you're someone who might be not so into human design, even if you don't really know about it. I just encourage you to have an open mind. Learning is one of the best things that we could do in this life, right? Just continuing to learn and expand ourselves and meet different people and take on other people's knowledge, right? Like, that's what life is about. So hope you guys enjoy this conversation, and yeah, let's get into it. Hi, Chrystelle. Welcome to the show. How are you?
Hi, thank you for having me. I'm so excited.
Thank you so much for taking the time and coming on. I'm so excited to have this conversation with you today.
Thank you. I've been looking forward to it all week, so this is great.
Yes. So, Chrystelle, can you tell the people a little bit about yourself, what you do, who you are?
Yes. So I am an all-around inner work junkie. Let's say that at heart. But I am a human design reader. I'm a coach. I work as an occupational therapist in psychiatry. I'm interested in all things about how human beings work and our psychology. And so I help people to really find a place of contentment and happiness and self-acceptance in their life. And often human design is the way that I lead into that.
I love that so much. I've recently gotten into human design, which I've talked a little bit about on the podcast briefly, but I just find it so fascinating. You know, there's always more things to learn about yourself, like as we grow and all that. But I find that human design is probably the most specific, like when it comes to how we were made, what our purpose is, like the way that we operate, what we react to, the way that we work, the way that we connect with other people. So I'm really excited to give the audience a little bit more information about human design. So how did you get into it, or like how did you find it? How did you come across it?
It was very serendipitous. So I was told about human design from a friend who actually doesn't really teach human design or anything like that. But I was going through a challenging time in my life. I was kind of like at a crossroads where I felt, and I actually talk about this in a podcast episode, but I felt really good on one end. And then on the other end, kind of felt like there was this hole. I didn't know what it was. Something was missing. And I'm from Toronto. I live in New York City, but I'm from Toronto. So I'd flown home to visit.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
You were born there? You were born there?
Oh, I am Trinidadian. I was born in Trinidad and Tobago. And
Ooh.
my family migrated from Trinidad to Toronto when I was about 4. And I was raised there. I am Canadian, and Canadian is all hell, like super Canadian.
Wow.
About 11 years ago, a lot of things in my life, which is part of my design, happened like they just happened. And I ended up in New York kind of by accident and then never left. So that was about 11 years ago. And so I had flown home. I go home multiple times per year. Like, I feel very connected. My best friends are there. And I'm sitting at my very good friend's kitchen island with her husband. and just telling them that like, and they could feel it on me. Like, I was just like, I don't know what it is. Like there's something, I didn't feel connected somehow to who I wanted to be fully. And my friend is like, I heard about this thing called human design. I genuinely cannot describe it to you because I don't understand it all that well, but I think you're going to like it, and go look it up. So I went home, I looked it up, and my first experience delving into my design, I bawled my eyes out. I just bawled, just cried, because I had never felt so understood before. And that's been one of my kind of core wounds, is not feeling fully seen, not feeling fully recognized. And then that all was in my chart, all of it, the up and through. I just bawled my eyes out because I just felt like I was given permission to fully accept every part of myself that a part of me knew was real, but kind of felt like it either needed fixing, or it wasn't right, or it just didn't fit into what society was telling me I'm supposed to be like. And then there comes this thing that's like, oh, you're exactly what you're supposed to be like. And not only that, this is the amazing things you're going to do with that. And I was like, so there was no going back. Like after that, I just really stepped into owning who I am. I felt like I came home to myself, really.
Wow. Yeah. And I feel that for most people, like for myself, I can't speak for everybody, but I feel like the people that I have connected with that are aware of their human design chart, and everything clicks. And I feel like after that, like you said, you can't go back, because it makes sense. It's just like, okay, like this is why I've been operating this way. This is why I'm not happy with certain things in my life, that job, that relationship, I can't show up in this way, the same way that this person shows up. So for the people that are still wondering, like, what the heck is human design? What are y'all talking about? Can we give a little bit more clarity on exactly, like, first, I mean, maybe we should start with the types, like the different archetypes.
Sure. Okay. So human design is a framework, and a lot of people are aware of astrology, right? So I'm going to use astrology as like an example in terms of when I say it's a framework that describes different aspects, and it kind of puts your personality, your energetic structure, the way that you energetically operate in the world, into this beautiful chart. And human design uses various different frameworks all put together to come up with what you would consider to be your soul's blueprint. So like a blueprint of a house, imagine if you had that for your soul. So this is where the bathroom is. This is where everything's laid out. And it has 5 different types. And those 5 types are generator, manifesting generator, manifester, projector, and reflector. And the way that those types are determined are based off of that chart that you're looking at when you pull it up. And in the show notes, you'll probably like put a link to where they can find it. Okay. Mm-hmm. So you pull up your chart and you'll see all these like colorful boxes and white boxes, white shapes. And based off of which ones are colored in and which ones are white is what's determining your type. So it will determine whether you're a manifestor, a generator, manifesting generator, a projector, or a reflector. And each of those different energetic types operate very differently in the world. So the whole point of human design is to teach us that our individual way of operating is how we're supposed to be. But society is usually teaching us there's one way to be. There's a specific way that you're supposed to act. There's a specific flow that your life is supposed to go in. There's a specific way that you're supposed to contribute to society. The get the job, the get married, whatever it is, all of these societal kind of pressures that we feel from very, very, very young, we're kind of told there's a way to be. But what your human design shows you is that there isn't a way to be. There's a way for you to be. And when you try to be a different type, or you try to be something that you're not, life becomes very challenging. It becomes very challenging and very uncomfortable, because there's a part of you that's just not equipped for it, not meant for that. And then there's that other drive inside of you that's continuously trying to be what it wants to be. So a lot of cognitive dissonance comes up. And until we really learn to operate as who we truly are, it can be quite an uncomfortable journey. Do you want to go into each type? How do we want to do this?
Oh, first, okay, before we get like too deep, I want to first like piggyback off what you said, because I think too, aside from like that uncomfortability in life, it's also like, I talked about this on my last podcast episode. That's how we become unhappy, right? Like when we're not following our true authentic self, which we're really going to like dive into today on this episode. But when we're not aligned with who we are, who we're supposed to be, you know, the reason that we came here on this planet, and we're trying to do, you know, what everyone else is doing. We see on Instagram, oh, this person is going live, let me go live. This person is posting 3 reels a day, let me do that. It's like, that's how we get into that place of like feeling lost, feeling unhappy, feeling unworthy, all of those feelings, right? So I think when people do start feeling those things, like that is the perfect time to tap into their human design and really dive deep into it. Like, and even for me, like I use it on those days where I'm feeling not my, you know, like out of whack, unaligned. Like, I don't even know if that's a word, unaligned, but when I'm feeling out of alignment, right? When I'm feeling out of alignment and I'm not feeling like, you know, my purpose, like maybe like, damn, why am I doing this? What's the point of all this? Why am I working so hard? Then I go back to my human design.
I love that. And if you, even in what you were just saying, the amount of times you said the word feeling, this is actually the point, because we're really taught so much thinking. We're taught this kind of way that the way that you're supposed to operate is something somebody told you. So it's been implanted in you from somewhere, rather than the way that we're meant to operate. You have it inside of you, in your body. We're so out of touch with feeling into ourselves. And that's where the truth is. So human design teaches us to move away from external influence, to move away from all the external factors that have told you what you're supposed to be, and to learn to listen, because it's all in there. It actually was meant and created to be something that you work with and then you almost get to release. You, at a certain point, when you become in tune, like you said, aligned with yourself, you can just flow through intuition. But we're so disconnected from our intuition. We don't know. We either shut ourselves up, you know, we push it down, we tell ourselves we're wrong, whatever it is. But all those nudges, all those inner knowings, all those like feelings that we've been having our whole lives telling us we're supposed to do this and we're supposed to do that, that's all coming from somewhere real, right? And then eventually, a lot of us, I feel like we really are meant to accomplish what our souls came here to do. And at a certain point, we will manifest the things in our life to kind of force us back on that path. So exactly what you're saying, when you find yourself in that place of like, I don't want to fight this anymore, this is the perfect time. It's the perfect time to look into it.
Yeah. Ooh, okay. So let's dive into the types. Like, let's talk. Wait, first, okay, maybe the audience should know, or I'm curious, what is your type?
I'm a projector.
Okay. So let's start there with projector. Like, what does that even mean to people?
Okay, so the projectors are guides. All the types work together, and it's called human design because it's like, think of humanity as the collective. I like to think of it as like a mosaic, right? So like there's little pieces like a puzzle, and we each fit into the whole picture. You are not, it's so easy sometimes when we think of the universe, we're just a speck, we don't matter. It's the opposite. You matter so much, because the fact that you exist is billions of possible, like it's such a small factor that you came to be. So you fit into this mosaic of humanity, and you have a role to play in the large artwork, in the large picture. And the 5 types kind of are the different types, and we all work together to create one big thing. So I use an analogy of a fire, and I like to think of it as like a tribal fire. But think of like a fire, okay? And the different types are the different parts. So the manifestors would be the spark. So they would be that whole combination, like some sort of chemical combustion, and they are the initiators in life. The generator types, so the generators and the manifesting generators come in, and they are the added fuel, the heat, the oxygen. Like you can have a spark, but how do you make it into like a roaring flame? That's where that generator energy comes in, okay? Then you have the projectors, and we are the wind. So we are guiding humanity. We are guiding that fire. And last year, we know that there was a bunch of forest fires in LA, and we remember how dangerous that got. The wind really determines the power and the force of humanity. So how we blow things, the direction in which we're blowing things, has a huge impact on everything. And then finally, the reflectors have the most, like, such a sacred role. They're the shadow. So the reflectors are the only way that humanity sees itself fully, because without, we have this, wind and we have the guidance, but we need to be able to see back what it is that we're doing so that we can course correct. We've seen how humanity moves into different phases and stuff. So reflectors are these beautiful, very empathic beings who reflect back to us what it is, the stage of life that we're in, so that we can change and move however we need to. So as a guide, projectors, like, you're born just with knowingness. Like, we can look at other people and just have a very strong sense of where you, like, what your next step needs to be for you. It's not where we want you to be. We kind of can see into your design almost. So we can see where you're going, and we're very good at very innately being able to guide other people. And there's a beautiful little fail safe in there for a projector where we don't have the ability to see ourselves very well. I love everything about human design. I love it because of all these little pieces. How beautiful is that? Because it doesn't give us the ability to turn into tyrants, to just be like, I'm controlling everything because I see everything. We have to work with other people, because in order to see ourselves, we need you. But in order for others to really have the best hold on where they're going, they need a projector. It's said that everyone needs a projector, even a projector. Wow. So we are the guides, like the sages, the gurus of the types.
Wow, I love that. And I feel like you're one of 3 projectors that I know that they know they're projectors. Like, I could know some people who don't know they're projectors, but you're one of 3, and that makes so much sense because all 3 of you guys are like in these positions or titles or careers where you are guiding people. Like, one of them is a yoga instructor, one of them is, her, Stephanie, she's a coach, like, you're also a coach. So it's like, it's crazy. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. Since I was a kid, I have been my friends' therapist forever. And it's the reason I went into psychology and then went into occupational therapy, is because I was like, well, I'm just coaching. I'm doing therapy with everyone anyway, so I might as well make this a profession. So we often do find ourselves in these kind of guiding roles in one way or another, because it just naturally comes out of us.
Wow. Yeah. Ooh, okay. Let's move on to generator. So I'm actually a generator. If some of you guys don't know, which you probably don't, because I don't think I've talked about it, but I'm a generator. For me, that means like you said, that spark, taking that spark and like creating like these big, like putting energy, like when you think of a generator, right? Like really like putting your energy into things and lighting things up. So that's why like I do so much. I have the energy to do so much. I don't know how I do so much some days. I'm just like, I don't know how I'm doing this, but I'm here, and doing the things that really light me up. That gives me more energy to be able to do those things.
That's the key. That's the key thing there, because you'll hear a lot of different things about human design, a lot of people speaking on it. And sometimes they consider the generator like the worker bee, and I don't really like that term, because it doesn't take into account the part where your purpose here is to do what you love. That's the really, really necessary part, is that the doing what you love. So generators are given a strategy, and your strategy is the best mode for you to operate in the world idealistically, like the ideal way for you to get what you want out of life. And the generator strategy is to respond. And it's that response. It's that like their spark already happened. You take it and you run with it. But think about that. How do you react to a spark? There has to be like a thrill, a lit up, it's not just, you don't get lit up by anything. It's that gets the fire going. It's that thing. So when you guys really love something, oh my gosh, what you can do with it is just amazing, out of this world kind of stuff. And when a generator isn't doing what they love, they're the most prone to burnout. So yes, you'll hear a lot of generators say, like when I've done readings, they're like, but I don't feel like I have unlimited energy. And it's that part that's missing, is because your energy isn't just here to be used for anything. It's here to be used for what you love, which goes back to your last episode, right? Like we all have to kind of follow that part of us that is like calling to you. And so when something calls to a generator type, like you guys just fly.
We have to respond. And then we also have to respond in the things that we don't want. So like leaving the job, or leaving the relationship, like, and those are things that I have done in the past year that like I needed to free up that energetic space, because it just wasn't, like you can get depressed, I feel like, as a generator, probably, all types, but like I have definitely fallen into depression doing things or being in situations, relationships that I didn't need to be in.
Absolutely. And I feel like a lot of probably adrenal fatigue. I think I see that a lot with generators, a lot of, like overuse of hormones and stuff like that, just pushing beyond a certain limit. And we know that when we don't listen enough to the signs that are given, your body will start to be louder. It will be as loud as it needs to be to get you to wake up. So yeah, a lot of burnout for generators. Projector types tend to be very prone to depression for mood stuff, because when we don't have that energy that the generator has. So the generators have that sacral. What makes you a generator is you have your sacral defined, and that's like basically the battery. For types that don't have that, and we start operating like generators, we start operating with doing a lot, we also get very burnt out. But the projector tends to feel so unseen when we're not following our strategy. We're unrecognized. Nobody's interested in what we have to say, and we tend to lead a lot to depression. So I see a lot of kind of autoimmune, burnout, adrenal fatigue, generator, a lot of depression, a lot of mood stuff with projectors. So there's one more thing I want to say about generators. And I started this aura series on my Instagram. And I like to talk about the auras, which I didn't mention, so I'll mention that. Each type has an aura, which is like how you feel to other people, like silently, what you just feel like. And so for the generator, your aura is open and enveloping. And I like to teach generators that it's super important for you to work on boundaries. And you kind of touched on this, the boundaries. Your sacred no is just as important as what you're saying yes to. So yes, it is so important to engage in what you love. But like you said, it is so important to be able to say no, because everything is coming at you. You're so magnetic. So a lot of generators will kind of be people, even if you don't consider yourself a people person, you will be the person that's like standing on the street or on the subway, and the not so together guy is like, they're going to choose you and they're going to come and talk to you and they're going to tell you their whole life story, or people are just drawn to you guys. So having boundaries is so important, because then you find yourself just stuck because you have the energy. It's like, well, I can do it. I don't want you to do it just because you can. So, and then you end up getting really, really burnt out. So super important, just like a beginning thing. My generators out there, it's likely that we're talking to you because you guys are 70% of the population. So it's likely right now a generator's listening to this.
Yeah.
Have baby boundaries.
Girl, you're preaching to the choir, okay? Like, this has been one of the biggest lessons I've had to learn, like in my adult life, like setting boundaries, specifically like the past couple of years, having a business where I work with women, women can dump, women bring a lot of emotions and, just in general, humans in general just have a lot going on. So I do find that as a generator, it's like this open invitation, like, hey, she looks like, the perfect person to just say whatever I need to say. And, I literally had to mention this in our dance rehearsal yesterday. We're getting ready for a show. And I had to say to the girls, I'm like, you're dance teachers. There's three of us here. Like, we're here to give you the tools to be successful in dance. We're not here to give you the tools to be successful in your relationship problems and your financial problems and all that, so they're for sure. And I think like even having the boundaries, but also communicating the boundaries that's a whole nother, because you can have them and people might not understand. I feel like a lot of people might get offended when you do have boundaries, but to be able to explain them, and maybe sometimes you don't have to explain them, but when you do, I think for some people that might be like a aha, like, okay, you know what, maybe I shouldn't have said that. Maybe I should journal.
100%, 100% it. And it's very much, yes, you're right about the communicating part, because again, with the aura that you have it's helpful in human design. It helps you to have everyone to have compassion for every other type. As a non-sacral type, as a non-energy being that we're called, everyone that's not a generator is a non-energy being. It's like moths to a flame. We are drawn to you. People are not necessarily intentionally knowing that they're asking a lot of you. They just do. It's like, there's a battery there, I want to plug in. And so if we just understand and zoom out and look at it from a bigger perspective, you see it as like, not so much that like, why don't they know that I can't do that? They don't, for whatever reason. Yes, some people are more leechy, but let's assume that most people aren't intentionally trying to suck you dry. So it's so important not just to think it, but just to own it entirely in your body, because you might not always be able to give off that no, because you have that open aura. So yes, be able to say no and sit with it comfortably in your body, that I'm doing this actually for me and for you, because where you are supposed to give it, you won't have it then, because you'll be a sucked up hull at that point. So it is actually for the best of everyone. And really just knowing that in your heart, you're not being mean. You're not being harsh. You are really contributing to what you're here to do on the planet by putting your energy exactly where it's supposed to be. Because everybody has the ability to figure their stuff out, and they will find it where they need to find it. So have the compassion, have your boundaries, and yes, learn to just say that no with all the love in your heart, knowing that it is best for everyone is so important.
Yeah. Ooh, so good. All right, let's jump into the next type. You want to go with reflector?
Sure. Okay, so reflectors are the rarest type. They are less than 1% of the population. And a reflector is determined by having nothing defined in their chart. I shouldn't say nothing. They don't have any centers defined. So those triangles and diamonds and squares, if you're a reflector, it's going to look all white, but you'll still have those little lines coming off of them, and those are gates. You'll have those. But you have a fully open chart, which makes you empathic. Wherever your centers aren't colored in, it's an empathy center. It's a center where you take in the energy from your environment. It's the centers that are what in human design they call your soul's curriculum. So it's where you take in energy. It's where you're conditioned from the outer environment. So reflectors are being conditioned all the time from everywhere. And so they're very empathic beings, and they're able to kind of take on every type, really. So whoever they're around, they're absorbing their energy and reflecting that back out. And then when they're on their own, they kind of release all that and are just themselves and release all the energy that they've taken in. But the beauty with a reflector, their strategy is to use the full lunar cycle. All the types in human design are solar, except for a reflector. So that 29-day cycle, it's very important for a reflector to kind of feel into how they feel every day, because depending on where they are, who they're with, they're going to feel differently. And their role here on the planet is to live that variety, is to be that. They are everyone and no one. And so having a reflector in your life is a powerful thing, though, it's pretty rare. I don't know a lot of people. I have 3 reflectors in my life, so I feel very blessed for that. And they are a truly, truly unique individuals, truly. Their aura, the feel, I've never felt anything like that. Their aura is called sampling. And what it kind of feels like, I like to call it, it's like Teflon. So they kind of take in the energy of everyone. But you know how a lot of people think of being empathic as like this burden? It's like, oh, I'm this empathic being. I don't have any control over how I feel. Truly empathic beings are reflectors, and they can take it in and shed it off. It doesn't stick. It's like a tasting. It's like life is a buffet. They taste your energy, and it's like they're truly the judges of us. They taste your energy, see how it feels, and you get to see back yourself in these people. And I notice that I'm a very different person when I'm alone with my reflector friends, and then when I'm with other people. It is fascinating the way that they're able to they come in at you. Like, it's a very interesting and beautiful experience. But reflectors, it's unique. They're here to just taste everything in life. They're here to be a little bit of everything in life. And in that tasting, they make these decisions at the end of the month based off of, I've tried it all, what was the best? And it's kind of like how life is for them. So really, there are judges. There are judges of society. It's like, I've tried it all, and this is what works best.
That's so interesting. I think I know one reflector. I have to confirm with her, but I now that you say that, I think she did tell me she was like a reflector, and that makes so much sense. The way that she really like taps in. It's like when you're talking to her, she's so present and just able to like hear what you're saying. Yeah.
They're very present. Yeah. It can be jarring almost. It can be a bit jarring because like, I feel like I'm seeing myself. I feel very aware of myself, right? Like I feel very aware of how I'm being, what I'm saying. Even my tone of voice changes when I'm with a reflector. You know your telephone voice? Hello. Like I'm like octaves.
Yeah.
I don't have it. It's just it's there. It's like fascinating. It's very, very fascinating, but a really beautiful unicorn beings, and they have a very unique varietal purpose here to really just choose their life, choose their environment. You'll see a reflector move all around the world because environment means so much to them. Because imagine they have that. Anyone with an open G, actually. Do you know if you have an open G?
I don't know. I'm
Diamond
my chart.
chart.
I don't know.
Open G. I know my mom, we don't know her. My parents don't know their birth time, right? Like they didn't know that stuff back then. Nobody kept track of it.
Right.
I know my mother has an open G center. My whole life, we will be like, let's say the family is going to a restaurant. We walk into a restaurant. She's like, nope, just turns around. Just walks perfectly fine. That anyone with an open G center and all reflectors, environment is so important to them. They take it in immediately, and they'll get an immediately like, this won't work, this will work kind of thing. So it's very important for a reflector to find their place, their actual physical place, to find their people, to find, it's like, I'll sample it all, and when it hits, when it sticks, it sticks.
Wow. That makes a lot of sense. I really think I'm gonna hit up my friend as soon as like we get off, because I need to find out. So where's your open G? I'm gonna put this on the screen. I don't know if anyone can even see this, but this is like,
so it's the purple. Like. So yours is defined. It's the purple one in the middle. The diamond shaped one in the middle.
I see.
So the G center is The G center is the closest thing. So in the original chakra system, you know how there's 7, and in human design there's 9. It's because the 2 centers split. So the G center is close to what the original in the chakra system is, your solar plexus. So it's like that sense of like, that's the will center. Sorry. That's split into 2. So it's the sense of like my identity. Like, who am I? Who am I? You'll have it kind of be solid when you have it colored in. Even if you go through different stages of your life, which we all do, even if you're figuring out what you want to be in the world, you'll always have this like inner sense of like, I know I'm supposed to blank. Like, I feel I'm meant to, it's like there, that's solid. And then people with an open G, it's kind of like, I have to feel it out and I don't know till I feel it. It's a question mark often. Who am I in the world? So they can be kind of chameleon-like, depending on who they're with, depending on the environment that they're in. It's not fixed. That area of like sense of self is not, it's not fixed. It's very much open to conditioning.
Wow, that's so interesting. This is also interesting.
It said that the G is for God, the God center. So it's like where your soul connects to your body is your G center. And that's for everyone, whether you're defined or not defined. It's still your center where your soul and your body are connecting.
That makes so much sense. I always feel it. Would you consider that like your gut feeling?
No, that would be your sacral.
Sacral.
Yes. So when you say gut feeling, that's literally what you guys mean with your and So for a sacral being, so meaning a generator type, this goes into the authority. So the authority is your big decision maker. Do you know what your authority is?
Satisfaction, I think.
That is your signature. So your authority is, well, let me see your chart and I'll tell you. I can tell you by looking at it.
Oh, emotional authority.
Okay. So for a generator type, you only have 2 options. You're either going to be an emotional authority or you're going to be a sacral authority. So basically there's an order. If the emotional center is colored in, that's the first one. So anybody with an emotional center colored in, you're an emotional authority. And it's the center in your body that is your big decision maker. So it's the energy center in your body that is your like where you rely on for big decisions. So for you, it's through your emotion center. The sacral, you also have it because you're a generator type, is the gut feeling. You guys, that's where your response comes from. So it's your sacral that you're exposed to things in life and it feels like physically in your body like or So generator types feel themselves like moving towards things. My best friend is a manifesting generator, but she doesn't have her emotional center defined. So her authority is sacral, is that center. She will literally, let's say that I'm like, let's go out for pizza. It doesn't even make it to her mouth. She'll just like, if she wants to go, her body will just be moving. She'll be like at the door getting her jacket. It's just like,
I love that.
That's what the gut is. Like, it's really this, like, you feel it. And not that it specifically is in your belly, but you feel an actual Generator types tend to like, if they like something, move in. Let's say that you're like, you'll see that like you literally move towards it. Or if you don't like something, you'll move away from it. You make like sounds like like you'll hear
right.
There's a lot of that. That's the gut feeling. It's before it even makes it to your head. You're not aware of it. There's like this movement that's like yes, no. So it's totally the sacral. And I love it. I think it's so fun that you guys have that.
I love that. That's so true. Like it'll just come out like, yep. Like so funny. Let's dive into, okay, so we have manifesting generators.
Manifesting generators. Okay. So a manifesting generator is like a generator type mostly because you have the sacral. So that's where that life energy is coming from. But they also have the same mechanics as a manifester, which means that their throat is defined and connected to a motor center. So a manifesting generator is a generator with some extra manifester juju sprinkled in. So they're like a souped up generator. Very, I want to say the most powerful type, because remember we haven't covered manifestor. Manifestors are initiators, but if we talk about that fire, they're the spark. And then the generators are this added fuel. Imagine like both, so it's like a generator doing 5 things at the same time. A manifesting generator will have many different interests. Like a manifestor, they don't necessarily have to complete it. Sometimes they're just meant to kind of like get something going. We're on to the next. And then they're on to the next. So one of the things I tell manifesting generators that society kind of makes them feel bad about is that they're often your people that need to change their mind a lot. So, nobody wants to be a flake, right? Nobody wants to be that person that's like, I made plans and then I'm not showing up. But manifesting generator, they need to be able to change their minds. So they're having that same gut response, right? But the key thing with a manifesting generator is I want you to ask, you can check in with that gut response at the last minute. I want you to check in right at the end. So a really good thing for a manifesting generator to learn is to say, like if someone asked them, did you plan like to go out? You'd say, that sounds really good. I will let you know closer to the time. Because it's really helpful for you to know that right at the end, who knows what you were exposed to in that day, what you were responding to, you need to go and do that. You might need to this is where your energy is calling you. So allow yourself the space to not feel like you have to be anybody else. And what you are is a lot. Like a manifesting generator, you've got that fire and it wants to go, and build that into how you communicate with other people. So similar, but like souped up.
Yeah. I think I know one confirmed manifesting generator, and we're really well together. She has great ideas, and she also has the energy to be able to kind of match, my energy and get things done. But she is great at like sparking the ideas, like you said.
They take it to the next step, They have that, a little bit of that novelty that the manifestor has. I guess we can talk about manifestors after, but that kind of really unique way. So they say that manifesting generators are very good at coming into a system and updating it. So let's say that so think of consultants, a way that something has been operating for a long time and it's time for a new paradigm. A manifesting generator will come in and see what's working and take it to the next step and drop the old. Like they're very good at like bringing something into the new. And other types, sleep is a big thing for you guys. Well, sleep is a big thing for all of us projectors. We need rest, right? But because you have this battery, it is very important for you to let the battery, especially a manifesting generator, let it run out before you go to bed. So like exercising at night or reading a book right in bed before you fall asleep, like letting it take you into sleep is helpful. And then the non-energy types like myself, reflectors, manifestors, we actually should kind of like go to bed an hour before we're even tired. Because by the time we're exhausted, the way we tend to go to sleep is the way we wake up. So we kind of lull ourselves into sleep, and you guys need to let that battery run out. And then
absolutely. I'll be like still working late. Like I still have a little bit more. Let me get this done.
Yeah. Or my husband is a manifesting generator, and I'm like pretty open in my chart. So sometimes I'm sitting, our desks are right beside each other. I'm sitting there and I'm just like, I could do it too. It's all him. I'm just sucking up his energy. And then I'm like totally dead. I'm like, we need to have separate places that we work, because this is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so funny. All right. Last type, the manifester.
Funny that we talk about them last, because they're usually kind of first. They're the spark. Manifestors, very unique type as well. They are about 7% of the population. They are the initiators. So the manifestor's aura is repellent. And I know that sounds terrible, but it is that way for a reason. And it's because the way that the manifester manifests, creates, is kind of in a vacuum. They have everything they need. It's like they are a direct tap to source. So the original novelty, the ideas, and they need the space without influence from other people to be able to do that. So they're given the strategy to inform because they can be a little bit isolative. It's like, think of the mad genius in the lab. Like, ooh, they've got the idea and then they need to go and do it, and they don't interrupt, and they can get quite irritated if they are interrupted. But it's not to be like to push people away or anything like that. It's simply because that is the way that their creative juices drive. So they are the ones in the world that are just are bringing us like these new novel ideas. And the best way for them to operate is to allow themselves these phases of deep creativity and then deep rest. And so let people know, manifestors, let people know what you're doing. Let them know everything. Tell them what you feel. Tell them what you're thinking. Tell them what your plans are. Tell, because then they don't have to just sit there and guess why you're no longer picking up your phone or why you're not talking to anybody or anything like that. Let everybody know so that everyone can kind of get out of your way and they can just do their thing. And then they come out of it and they're ready to be back into life. But they're just very powerful being that kind of walks into the room and arrests the energy.
Wow.
And yeah, very, very, very powerful beings as well.
And
manifesting generators, this like crazy combo.
Do you think that manifestors are usually like in any particular job? Like I see them being maybe like artists, or I don't know, like have you seen them being gravitating towards specific things?
I've seen them everywhere. One of my coaches is a manifestor. I know an artist who's a manifestor. I know a psychiatrist who's a manifestor. And in all of their fields, whatever the thing is that they're doing, they're leaders and powerful leaders, and also intimidating. They have a kind of an intimidating aura. What I've noticed is the more they don't inform, so the more that they're not embracing their strategy, the more that kind of intimidating nature is about them. I find that they kind of generate a lot of respect, but sometimes people are a little bit afraid to approach. And that's that aura, that's that feel. It's like, I don't know, they're hard to read. They're hard, you can't, they're very difficult to read. And that's why they're given this beautiful strategy to inform, because if you don't tell us, we won't know. But I've seen them do everything, and they do it with this very powerful, unique way. This very kind of grounded and unique way that they do it. People tend to look up to them in whatever it is that they're doing.
So for the people that are listening and maybe they're either a generator, a reflector, or a projector, I'm sure like someone's thinking like, damn, that means like I can't manifest, and that means like that's why I'm having such a hard time like manifesting. Can we like debunk that really quickly?
Let's debunk that. We're all able to manifest. We're all able to manifest. It's just a matter of how you're manifesting. And these names were, I think Ra even actually said that these are the names that he came up with, but it's not that it has to stay this way, right? So a manifestor isn't the only one manifesting. The only reason they're called a manifestor is because they have a defined throat, which is called the manifestation center. They have a defined throat that is connected to a motor center. That's what makes them a manifestor. So we all manifest through our throat. It's the manifestation center. You speak it into being. This is where, if you go into that part of spirituality where we talk about speaking what you want into life, there's real truth to this. There's real truth to this. So every single type is manifesting. It's just that the way that you're manifesting is not necessarily just on your own, right? So manifesting, for example, I manifest through my community, through people. And this is going to show up in all different parts of your chart. Manifesting in connection with like in terms of like your response. So for a generator type, right? So you're responding to what's coming into your field and then creating through that. We all manifest. It's just the manifester, it's like it's all in here. Like they don't need outside influence. They aren't able to manifest any more than we're able to manifest. It's just a different way of manifesting. Does that make sense?
And also in the chart that I use, or the app that I use, they have a specific or non-specific way to manifest.
Yes, and that has to do with the arrows. Do you see the arrows at the top of your head?
The arrows. Oh, like going in towards the head?
Yes. So the right side of your head, the bottom arrow, that will determine whether you are a non-specific or specific manifester. So I think yours is pointing to the left. Is that
They're both going like in the head.
Yeah, so you're pointing to the left.
Uh-huh.
So you are a specific manifester.
Yeah.
So anybody pointing to the right, me, we are non-specific manifestors. So all that means is, and I love that you brought this up, because in the spirituality world, I've heard so often this teaching that people use when they tell everyone, when you want to manifest something, write it down, get specific, right? Let's say that's in dating. It's like how tall, what color, eyes, hair, what job do you want? Get as specific as possible. That only works if you're a specific manifester like you. For someone like me who is a non-specific manifester, it doesn't mean we don't manifest, but our best approach to manifesting, meaning the way that my energy works best, is this or better. So the question for a non-specific manifester would not necessarily be like, what is that person exactly like? But how do I want to feel when I'm with this person? What do I want to experience in relationship? And then let the universe bring it to you and feel into it. Because what happens with us as non-specifics is we'll be like, for example, I'm not dating anybody over the age of, 33. And then you don't know though that like that next guy that you meet who's 43 and divorced, that interaction that you have and maybe even has children brings out this thing in you that you didn't, nurturing side of you that you didn't even know existed or that you wanted. And we will block ourselves from our manifestation by trying to predict exactly what it is. For you guys, on the other hand, a specific manifester, the more specific that you are, the better. And so what happens is you trust in the universe. So you make your list as specific as you want. Think of casting it out into the universe now. Trust the universe is going to send back to you what you asked for. You then interact with it. And then you might say, that was like everything that I wanted. But I realized that there's one thing missing. I really want him to also have a car. And so then you add it to your list and you put it back out into the universe. And then you let the universe send you that. So it's a more active way of engaging in manifestation, whereas ours is a more passive way of engaging, or a more receptive way of engaging. So one's a little bit more masculine, one's a little bit more feminine. Does that make sense? Yeah. So this idea of being very specific, it doesn't actually work for everyone. It doesn't. But we're all manifesting. We're all manifesting. Yeah.
All the time.
Constantly.
Yeah.
Consciously or unconsciously.
Yep. That's why our words are so powerful. They really are.
My thoughts.
Yes. Chrystelle, this was such an amazing conversation. This was so informative. I hope if you guys are listening to this on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, if you want to see the chart where we were showing on specifically like what we were talking about, like the arrows and everything like that, the God Center, you can go ahead and watch on YouTube so you can get that visual. If you want to see our faces, you can also check it out on YouTube. And Chrystelle, please let the people know where they can find you. How can they connect with you?
Absolutely. So you can find me. I also have a podcast called Love and Meaning, and you can find that on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, wherever podcasts are available. You can follow me on Instagram at Goddess of Practicality. And I also have a Facebook business page, also Goddess of Practicality. And I would love to interact with you there.
Yes, the podcast I was listening, it's so good. I love how authentic you are. And I hope that this conversation inspires you guys, whoever's listening, to really step more into your authentic self. Like, get to know yourself, do the research. Even if you're not into this, this is probably, maybe it's too woo-woo for you or whatever the case. Like, get to know yourself, tap into yourself. What do you like? What don't you like? Tap back into your childhood. What were the things that you enjoyed doing? How comfortable are you with the way that your life is versus the way that you imagine your life to be? So I just invite you guys to really get deeper, go a little deeper. And this was amazing. Thank you again. I can't wait to connect with you again, Chrystelle.
Thank you so much. This was an absolute pleasure. I had so much fun.
Yay. And we will see you guys on another episode. Take care, y'all.